after you play, I don't know if you still have that set up, but I was playing, we were playing, and it would repeat.
Oh, my headphones. I just unplugged my headphones.
Yeah. It was like we were playing.
It was an extra delay,
then
right?
like 30 seconds afterwards, we got everything again.
So there's a new piece idea, you know, you do for live stream accompanied. Please.
All right.
That'd be challenging.
We can just get your names on here, so come here.
So I'm not gonna have to say my name. That's good.
You're gonna have to get used to presentations with music ed. You're gonna have to run the circuit. All those poster things.
I did post it.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You'll get a lot of experience.
I hope my dissertation proposal is not based on today's outcome.
Got everything working?
Yeah, yeah. I said it like yesterday. And I felt the bed in the hotel was so nice.
Look a little more.
It's kind of funny that it's like a performance when we have tables, so it's a different setting.
Save drinks next.
Tomorrow morning, yes. More early, like at 6:30. There's a baptize tomorrow at like in the afternoon, so I have to be there.
Welcome everybody to this afternoon sessions. We're going to experience some real music making this afternoon. So please get us going. Welcome, Camille.
Okay. No, so first of all, I just wanted to, thank you for coming. I will play 3 pieces today. 2 of them are for horn and some sort of interactive software. I know we'll talk a little bit about the pieces and how I use what I call, some people call algorithmic composition software. I'm now starting to call it music programming environments. And how I use it to solve some performance issues and some composition ideas. So my background is as a music educator, as a music teacher, not necessarily as a programmer or engineer. So I kind of deal with this software in the way I can kind of go around stuff to solve some issues. And but I do some performance and composing, and I feel that this kind of software helps me a lot to kind of go around whatever I get. So the first piece I will play is called Sueños by Armando Baiolo, and it was inspired by a community wall painting, a mural, which is based on that that you can see that picture over there. And for a an Arizona-based dance theater. And they asked him to focus on two elements on this mural. One is the ladies here, which are they make tortillas, and the other one is the truck. So he created two movements. The first one is called flour process, or proceso de la harina, and the second one, it's actually the third one, is called the truck process. And in between there's an interlude. It's called a hallucinant interlude. And the piece is for horn and looper. So when somebody offered me the piece, you want to play this piece? I say, yeah, right, awesome, for looper and stuff. But it turns out I got my looper, the cheapest looper I could get, and then I started trying to play the piece, and then I realized that I needed at least 2 channels. So it was kind of hard to figure out what do I do now, because to get a different looper, it would be like another jump to like a budget I didn't have at the time. So I was using Max MSP. At that time I decided, you know what, I'm gonna create my own looper. So it's not perfect, and probably it's not at the same level of a commercial looper, but it's kind of a solution to this performance problem. Because usually, sometimes when composers give you these pieces, they say, oh, this is for horn and looper. There you go, play it. So this is the solution I could come up with. All right, hope you like it. So the next piece is actually not for interactive software, but it is for horn and delay. The only thing I'm doing though is to not change my setup. I'm using the software to let me go through the computer, but it's actually for horn. It's a piece for horn and delay. So this one should. And but I want to make some sort of connection between this piece and the topic I'm talking today. It's like how my relationship with technology is as a performer, as a composer, as well as a music teacher. And the thing is, before I played the French horn, I was a guitar player. Like I started playing horn in college. So before that, I was only like a guitar player, and I would just listen to rock, and I would play rock. And since I started playing horn, you kind of figure out that horn is kind of rock is a little bit off limits for horn, like kind of. So I kind of missed a little bit of that feeling of playing rock. So I actually, when I was doing my master's, I had got the chance to program a lot of music, and I started programming music for horn solo, horn on different instruments, to change a little bit this idea of horn and piano, which you always get when you go to a horn recital. And when I was starting playing horn and media, it was great, but it was a little bit, when I started playing with tape, The only thing I felt is that the challenges are so different than playing like with other musicians, and I wanted to have some more dynamic things going on. And when I started thinking about that, the first idea I had in my mind was using some sort of pedals and effects and interfaces. And since I used to like rock, I mean I still like rock, I used to listen to the band called Queen, that most of you are probably know it. And I thought, oh yes, a delay can be like great with the horn. And it's kind of like, so do you know Brighton Rock, which is a piece by Queen, and their guitar player, Brian May, has these wonderful solos with guitar and delay. And I say, yeah, and I'll feel like a rock star. And that's actually what I do with this piece, is kind of like go to my rock side with the horn, which I guess it kind of connects with this idea of using technology to open spaces in which different musical rhythms can interact. So this piece is actually based on those guitar solos, and it's called May, because it's a tribute to Brian May by Queen, and actually, yeah, it's a tribute to Brian May. So, and it's solo from Brighton Rock. I didn't get to try the stand beforehand. That should do it. you Queen a little bit? No. Okay, so this next piece, it's called Overtones, which is the piece I'm supposed to be playing here. And this one, it's more interactive, and I use actually the software here to kind of create the whole piece. So I was really in love with the idea of playing music that, I was really in love with the idea of playing music that would. Yes. Thank you. That helped me to figure out this beforehand. That you play, and when you record sounds, you can kind of reproduce them and generate this whole piece with only the material that you're recording. I like this.
Could you move your stand a little? It's covered up.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So in this piece, what I was trying to do is basically, I like playing with fixed media, but it takes away these dynamic things. And with this, what I was trying to do is have live recordings, live performance, basically to put a musical situation in which things can go one way or the other. And that is a very dynamic situation. It makes me feel involved with the computer, kind of like in a live performance situation with another person. And this was really important for me because, well, I'm from Chile, and I got here the chance to play with a lot of recitals with piano players. But once I go back to Chile, it's not going to be that easy to find piano players that have time to rehearse and willingness to play with you. So I was trying to find ways in which I could use the French horn, the computer, to kind of have other sonorities and other things that I could include in my program, so I don't have to have a lot of piano players. So everything here in this piece is actually recorded while I'm playing and then reproduced somehow. So what you have there are the buffers that you're going to see when I'm recording stuff. Just take the water off. Oh yeah, and it's also based on, in the horn I only play sounds from the Overtones series of F major, which is the key. wanted to say that for me, this type of software, in this case, this is Maximus P, but there are other software like Pure Data, which is also free open software. To me, they are tools. I'm not an engineer, I'm not a programmer, but you can learn here and there. And I guess the thing is that you need to have problems to be able to solve them. So this is a tool to solve problems. And as a music teacher, I think that it allows me, for once, to connect myself to the person I was before I went to school, to this other musician, and to experiment a little bit between those two realms. And I think that also might help me to connect with other students, with my students that have different backgrounds, that want to realize ideas that may have, they might have performance issues. Like, let's say yesterday we were hearing about some keyboard sounds and how to organize everything so you can do a performance. Or maybe you have composition ideas, and me as a teacher, I also see it as a bricolage, kind of. You learn a little bit of everything, and this tool provides you an environment in which you can solve all kinds of issues. So that's kind of what I would like in music education, for my students at least. So, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we got time for questions, anything like that.
The problems that you're talking about solving, are these problems that you've created as part of the composition process, or are you talking about pre-existing problems?
When I say problems, I mean all kinds of problems. Like in the first piece that I played, which was for horn and looper, the problem was I needed the technology to solve it, a performance issue. The composer didn't give me any guidance except that I needed to do a looper and I needed to do this and that. So usually what happens with performance is if you don't have a technology background, how do you solve those issues? As a music teacher, I guess it helps if you have some background in a software like this, so you can solve that problem. Now in this piece, I had a bunch of problems. Not only the composition problems, but what I was pointing at is precisely at those, the composition problems. So how do you do this and that? I don't know if you noticed that in the last part I recorded like several different beats in only one buffer. So what I did is I put all of this in different buffers, different places here, and the computer at one point selects different paths. So it's actually randomly.
Right, it's a prescribed algorithm?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
But what I was thinking is that to me that was a composition problem. How do I do this? How do I make this happen? And that sometimes it go this way and the other way. But also because of the way audio works, I needed to figure out a way to put envelopes. And you might have noticed that it didn't work all that well and in that part of the piece in which you had all these different snippets reproduced, you would hit and stuff, is because usually when you have an envelope, you need to give a time frame for the envelope to happen, and you need to do that beforehand. So what I had to do is be able to coordinate when I'm giving it the click here, so it records the envelope at the same time it records the piece. So when it reproduced the little snippet, it would do in the envelope. So if I miss, let's say, I think I missed a couple of them, here. I have all my envelopes here for that part, and they seem fine. Yeah, they seem fine though. But usually what happens, sometimes it's a performance issue of the computer, but usually what happened to me a lot is that when I recorded this envelope, I would cut it like here. I would record, I would press the button and it would stop recording here. And it would cut that envelope and it would sound every time. So that's a lot of issues that the technology kind of gives you. And with this software you kind of solve them. Yes, the software also generates its own problems. But I don't know, to me that's kind of nice. It's interesting and fun. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, well, first of all, we're able to see this here. Is it designed so that the audience watches?
I made this piece like that, so you could see how I kind of have the software set up. I like that idea that the audience have that visual aid.
That we see the animation of the filter, for example. So it makes me wonder, even just hearing it without seeing it, then what are the compositional elements behind how the filter is animated? Is that also driven by what you're playing?
The
Or
filter,
not,
the
or-
filter is not animated. That is a visualization of the way the filter is behaving.
But what's driving the behavior of the filter?
Oh, what's controlling the filter?
Yeah.
Look, there's a well. So this is what I like about this software, that you can customize it so it looks nice. But behind this, it looks like this.
But I'm wondering, is that driven by something you're doing? Interactive?
Yeah, some of the stuff, like let's say when I was playing that part in which I had like a choir of like chords.
Right?
What I did is I put a MIDI follower that I pass my notes from the horn to MIDI values, and it would follow those, and it will change the behavior of the filter depending on which note I was playing of that sequence. Yes.
See, that's what I thought, and I was curious because we can see. I think visually.
You see here in this area, there's a number.
Yeah.
So I think it's here. So basically, I have it here following this sequence that I put it there. And yes, so it changed the behavior. And some other stuff, like I use the pedal there. Usually, I just wanted to mention this pedal also. I made it myself. The pedal board there, the foot pedal, which is really cool because you can buy like what's called a microprocessor. This is a microprocessor. No, actually, a microcontroller like Arduino. You can get a version of like $3 in China, eBay, and you can build something like that. So as a music teacher, that's very valuable to be able to do things on a budget. Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you.
Great, thanks, Camille.
Thank you.
Great, a couple of minutes, a little break before we set up next